Man, I'm telling you, it sure is good that I am resourceful and nifty because I am having the worst luck electronically with my stuff right now. Anyway, let's get this video started, shall we? So, leading with love, part 2. I would like to do a recap. If we go up to keys for success, I missed this slide on last week's video. So, we finished off on a method to process the madness. And then I wanted to go over a few keys for success. So, paranoia is a sign that you don't trust yourself. Figure out what you stand for and let your heart be your guide. Call yourself out before anyone else can. Therefore, you're building self-awareness and accountability at the same time. Cultivate a space where you're safe to feel emotions. So, a recap of part 1 of what we went over. In last week's video, we went over different skills complement certain behaviors, the 3-step process that is essential for evolution, a method to approach the internal madness, how to approach self-discovery to find your deep-rooted self-limiting beliefs, hard truths, and the keys for success. I wanted to go over how energy works with you guys. And I'm not sure if you're aware of how we communicate without having to speak to one another. This is how we build our intuition, our intuitive side of being. When you do shadow work, you create a healthy energy that subconsciously communicates to other humans who match your frequency, meaning a shared vibration of resonance from the lessons that you've learned. Upon integrating the journey, the next person to learn the lesson will experience half the battle. Energetically, the answers are all within us, and the journey depends on the resistance to the integration process. Embrace the 2 universal laws of acceptance and forgiveness to start the process. Do I do what I do? I would never want someone to experience what I went through. And if passing my wisdom on energetically is the only thing that I get out of it, that's all I could ever ask for. When I choose to be blind, as in where therefore beforehand I was naive. So I invite you to ask questions or share an experience. Embracing perspective allows you to create creative solutions as you tweak pointers to fit into your own unique journey. So the things that they're very general. I'm giving you a very bird's eye view perspective so that you can get a framework and see how that fits within your own life, because it's different and unique to every individual, and no answers are going to be too like the same. So the general basis is what I'm talking about is like bird's eye view goals, directions to aim for, and how that looks, that's all you. Which will ultimately lead us to this question right here. How do we apply strength, concentration, and use caution while still reaching our goal of accountability in a loving way? Acceptance and forgiveness. Think in terms of the below diagram and what that looks like for you. Each person's journey will be unique. Similarities, yes. Exactly the same, no. So we're going to put it into pillars. Strength, concentration, and caution. We're going to think in terms of self and others, and we're going to use trial and error. Some of the things to consider for strength: self-control, tolerance, emotional regulation, a willingness to go into emotional overload, expanding your capacity, or you're being able to expand your capacity, manifesting as in holding your composure. Stay mentally flexible and non-judgmental. Concentration. Things to consider would be self-reflection, perspective shifting, so being able to put yourself in other people's shoes. Intentions, letting banter with God or the Almighty, so that God can show you what intentions are. I'm not going to do that. That's not for me to do. And that comes through banter. That comes through a willingness to be wrong. And if you're not willing to be wrong, you don't deserve to be right. Researching and building communication skills. The next one being caution. Establish clear boundaries and respect others and yourself. Honor variations. We'll get into this on the next slide. Variations is the different dynamics that you have within your life between different friend groups, acquaintances, work environments. When you're able to, like, these are different variations of how things will present themselves. And I will get into this onto the next slide where I tell you a little bit more. Like, I give you more examples on this. Consciously building self-awareness plus self-respect. So these are the things to consider. Like I said, each person's journey will be very unique, but just to give you a general bird's eye view of what fits into each pillar, this would be it. Okay, so I call it the SCC, strength, concentration, and caution. The variations that I speak of is with your family, spouse, friends, of course, work environments, acquaintances, so on and so forth. I just putting it into 3 different groups. Doing shadow work on the self is outwitting the devil, simultaneously pushing humanity forward during the process as energy flows to those who are ready. And in a way that is unspoken. This is shifting the energy of humanity, direction of where our evolution is going. Focusing on self is the key to healing everywhere else. So keys for success. The clear goal to begin is creating a safe space inside yourself to feel and research your situation. Discomfort, think cause and effect. Every time you remember, forgive again, yourself and others, leading you to a place where blame no longer exists. You will feel uncomfortable, and yes, there is a high chance you may even describe that feeling as gross. Keys to consider. Focus on urges. Focus on your urges to flee and the discomfort. You got 2 paths. You can follow the urges or you can sit in it. Sitting it is the path less traveled. Following is the longer and hard road. There is not one that is more correct than the other. Sometimes when we're called to follow our urges, it's because there's experiences that we need to go through that only we could handle, that is critical to evolution. So if you're called to follow your urges, I honor you in that, and I hope you honor yourself in that, and that's completely okay. Stop looking to control and flow. Know your biggest obstacles, temper, lash outs, things that harm more than just yourself, and get those under control. Those are your first priorities. You will miss the pattern every time if you're looking for it. Look for similarities to find stillness in your state of perpetual motion. So, I'm going to give you a little bit more context on this. As you process the different energies of emotions that present themselves from your thoughts, figure out a state of being where it complements this process. I don't even want to say this, but when I was younger, I fell into substance abuse because it allowed me to separate myself from the experience to see all perspectives. Finding harmony with all that has existed was a motivation for me. That's why I followed my urges. Of course, unaware there was another path, only being 13 years old when I started the journey. I quickly realized that things out of my control that affected me emotionally would be weaponized against me. And well, that wasn't something I was gonna let fly. I had to hold my composure, as it was a huge denominator in overcoming my obstacles. My character, guided and built following my heart, automatically took things out of question, such as deception, manipulation, stealing, lying, plotting, and revenge were off the board. There is a gray area regarding survival and harm, someone you have to become to survive. And this, I resorted to intentions. And as long as my intentions weren't to seek these things personally, I would ask for forgiveness prior and after profusely, and still to this day. You cannot hate who you had to be to survive. I also learned, as long as I stay true to this, I'll overcome and only be temporarily affected by all experiences of a negative, traumatizing fashion. What follows this, though, you're still going to have to face your mental prison of guilt and shame, aka complex PTSD. This is a journey I like to call the transmutation process. Values evolve just like the things you would never do present themselves in different ways. An example I can give you is stealing from a stranger, store, job, or someone who owes you money is still stealing. Different ways of presenting itself, different dynamics. We are here to navigate our true nature through feeling what is right and almost right, or just straight up wrong. Yes, only the Almighty can judge you. The question is, will you judge yourself first? Because 10 out of 10, I recommend that you do. All right, moving on. The above is a lot to process, so expect things to be messy. You have to laugh, especially at yourself. And when you feel like quitting, remember why you started, because once you start the journey's not going to let you quit. So don't worry, you can run, but you can't hide. Cultivating the space internally allows you to create that environment externally. Express gratitude and appreciation and have compassion for, let's say you're with somebody while you're going through this process. Like, learn to laugh, okay? See life as funny. Anytime that you're like, I'm not going to do that anymore, and then you go and do it, learn to laugh at yourself. Yes, I'm extremely hard on myself, so be hard on yourself, but be hard on yourself in a way where you can laugh. It's a process. So like when we're getting out of all these self-limiting beliefs and these habits that keep us where we don't treat ourselves right, the more that you show love and appreciation to the earth and the Almighty, like your willingness to listen to the signs and synchronicities, the more you will be supported in your own evolution. Okay? Okay. So where is this process leading you? Loving through detachment. If you desire to continue your spiritual evolution, what does it entail? Challenging your own traumatized thought patterns socially. Going all in, meaning ignore every red flag. And as for instincts, yeah, you're going to throw those out the window too, okay? And sitting in suspicion, releasing it just as fast as it comes in. Why do we do this? When we purposely, like in a way, like we're consciously aware of it, but at the same time, we're not. Why? Why do we do this? Making a choice to be blind, as you once were naive, is releasing what no longer serves you. Therefore, humanity. We must continue to build our faith in evolution to gauge what still needs to be integrated. Experiencing the refresher for yourself is a renewal of the energy for humanity. And again, this will sum up part 2. So thank you for watching. I'll see you on next Wednesday's video for part 3. We'll be speaking on decisions, our universe, and proceeding unbothered with love. Okay, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.